Saxon. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. Silent Night, Evil Night, rated R.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome everybody to another horror movie review with me and Paul, of course, and we figure since it is the holiday Christmas season, what better movie to talk about than, in my opinion, the premier horror Christmas movie, Black Christmas, or otherwise, as you saw in the trailer, in America, known as Silent Night, Evil Night. But worldwide, it's known as a Black Christmas. And before we get started, be sure to hit them likes and hit that subscribe button as well. And also, do not forget to donate to the official Cash App at PrimePod313. Again, that's PrimePod313, and or our official Cash App at Prime Podcast at Outlook.com. Again, Prime Podcast at Outlook.com, where any donation would be acceptable because this channel, as many of y'all may know, is not monetized, and for very good reason. So any support would gladly appreciate it. But yeah, Paul, Black Christmas. We talked about this last week with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, being that this movie and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are the two pillars of the modern day slasher film. But the more and more I watch this movie, and the more and more I study this movie, this more so than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you could say, is the blueprint for the true blueprint for what will become the slash film that we know today. You know, you have a killer killing people off one by one in a sorority house. Yep. You get your final girl and the always beautiful Olivia Hussey.
Yeah.
Not yet, James. Not yet.
Okay, come on.
Okay, all right, but and then you have, in my opinion, one of the more creepy, most terrifying villains in horror history that, even to this very day, does not get the shine and love, in my opinion, it deserves. In my opinion, this guy should be up there with the Michaels and the Jasons and the Freddys, because this guy here really truly started it all. And that is the guy who, well, at least in this movie, is known as Billy Lenz. And to start with my overall thoughts on the film, I love this movie to death. It's definitely more of my top 5 favorite horror films of all time. I know 1 and 2 for me is Halloween and The Thing, but Black Christmas is right up there. Like I said, it's directed by Bob Clark, who, crazy enough, 10 years after this, directed another Christmas classic, which so happens to be my favorite Christmas film of all time, A Christmas Story. And I know it's kind of the cool thing to shit on A Christmas Story now, but the reason why I love Christmas Story, because it's relatable. I was Ralphie, Paul was Ralphie, we was all Ralphie at one point, where we wanted that one gift that we would just annoy the shit out of people out of that we want for Christmas, and we would stop at anything to get it. And definitely one of the more relatable Christmas films of all time. And he also directed Porky's. So to go from this to Porky's and Christmas Story shows the versatility Bob Clark truly had.
Oh yeah.
But directed by Bob Clark, it was filmed in Toronto, Canada. I think it was like a $60,000 budget, or was? Do you know if it was 660,000?
620,000, and it made 4.1
600.
million.
Right. And the movie, and the reason why the movie kind of took a while for it, to get it going was because this is a Canadian film. It's a Canadian film, and this movie first popped off in Canada. It popped off in Canada. It was a massive hit in Canada. So I believe Warner Brothers bought the distribution rights, and they aired it in theaters in America. And I guess at that time, Americans weren't fucking with it at the time. Of course, they had to change it to Silent Night, Evil Night, because of the tight name Black Christmas. Because let's not forget, this was the early to mid 70s. Blaxploitation films were very prominent in this time. So calling it Black Christmas would kind of confuse some of the audience. So they had to rename it. And like I said, back then, critics just weren't digging it. Christmas, at least at that time, was still considered very, very sacred. It wasn't hoarded out like it is now. And to associate with a movie like this with something as holy and beloved as Christmas was considered blasphemous back then. It wasn't until the early 2000s, when internet started popping off and bootleg was popping off, and it wasn't really until that point where this movie started getting some traction, and 40 plus years later, it's now finally getting the respect. It's got a cult following. I still don't think it gets the respect it deserves, but it definitely has its cult following, and this is one of the premier slasher films of all time. Like, y'all know I love Halloween. My favorite horror movie ever. When I watch Black Christmas, it's clear as fucking day that John Carpenter studied this film. It's obvious he studied this film, from the direction, how the killer Billy was portrayed, how Olivia Hussey was portrayed. He studied this film. Of course, he had his own spin, but a lot of Black Christmas was in 1970 Halloween. Also, even that. When a Stranger Calls, this started the killers inside the house. That started that. The whole using the phone, like the phone calls, to fuck with his victims, thus spawned Scream in the later movies down the line. So, a lot of horror movies, they should bow down to Black Christmas because, like I say in the title, it's the blueprint of the modern slasher. Like, it's the blueprint that every slasher film has followed, and this very day it still holds up. From the atmosphere, the direction. Olivia Hussey was incredible in this role. Another standout, in my opinion, was Margot Kidder. She was definitely a fun character. You like the sorority girls. A young John Saxon, 10 years before he's Nancy's father for Nightmare on Elm Street, playing a cop, which is funny. And it definitely has one of the more intense final acts in horror history. And definitely one of the best endings in horror history. This movie is flat out amazing. I love this movie to death, and I cannot wait to really dig deep into this film. Paul, what are your overall thoughts of the film?
Oh man, Black Christmas was a movie that I had a really hard time trying to get my hands on because it's so rare to get. Luckily, I was able to get the Blu-ray copy, but pretty much everything you said is pretty spot on. But yeah, this movie is, for a lot of reasons, is the blueprint for what you see in today's horror movies. If this film was never made, you wouldn't have Town That Dreaded Sundown. You wouldn't have When a Stranger Calls. You wouldn't have Halloween. You wouldn't have Friday the 13th. Every slasher movie that has come out, Black Christmas and the other movie we talked about last week, Texas Chainsaw, these two movies, and this one specifically, laid pretty much all the groundwork for what you see. Like even though this film is going on 50 years old, 47 years to be exact, this movie still has that vibe to it, that intensity that you get, and just some of the moments that just really makes your skin crawl. And Billy is a horror character that a lot of people don't talk about very much, and really maybe people should, because for all intent and purposes, this guy was legit terrifying. Like, and the thing that makes this movie and makes this character very terrifying is that you never see his face. You never see what he looks like, not once. You may get a silhouette of his body. You may get the occasional eyeball that you have of him, and you may hear him on the phone, but you never once see him. So it leaves it open for speculation on who this guy really is. We know the guy's called Billy, but the fact that you never see him is what makes it even more terrifying. And that's just one of the main things about this movie that just really gets to you. And especially when he's on the phone, it's just terrifying as fuck. Like, some of those calls really does creep you out. And, you know, it's kind of strange how this movie doesn't get talked about a lot, even though in its initial release, it got mixed reviews. But looking at it now, many years later, it's now finally getting that recognition. It has that cult following, and it has had a lot of critical acclaim. In fact, a lot of people, including film historians, have even gone as far as saying that this is one of the best horror movies ever made. And when you look at a film like Halloween, you could tell, dude, that John Carpenter definitely was clearly inspired by Black Christmas. I mean, look at those POV shots. Look at the way the movie was set up. Just look at some of the ways that movie was done. You put that and Black Christmas together, they're almost mirror images of each other. That's how influential Black Christmas is. Not just for that film, but for pretty much every horror movie that you see today in terms of slasher. A lot of them wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this film. We wouldn't be talking about horror movies today, and we wouldn't be talking about this film today if it didn't exist. That's how influential this film is.
And it's funny that you say that, Paul, because I don't know if you've heard this story, but this story has been legend for decades. Of course, people inside in industry has refute the story, but this story it's been out there for years. Well, for one, John Carpenter has publicly said that Black Christmas was an inspiration, but the legend is a young upstart, up and coming filmmaker John Carpenter, who loved Black Christmas. Mm-hmm. Actually talked to Bob Clark, and he talked to Bob Clark, and he asked Bob Clark. This is gonna blow your mind, Paul.
Go for it.
He asked Bob Clark, like, "Hey, Black Christmas, I really love that movie. Are you planning on doing a sequel?" Bob Clark says no, he had no intention. Wow. And then he asked Bob Clark, well, if you were to do a sequel, how would you do it? You know what Bob Clark's answer was? I'm not bullshit. This has been the legend for years.
Do it.
His answer was, okay, what he would do, well, he would lock up Billy, put him in a mental institution, but then he would have him escape on Halloween night.
Oh shit! What? Whoa! That's what gave John Carpenter the idea to do Halloween, right there, because of what Bob Clark said.
Now, keep in mind, Paul, this is alleged.
I don't think it's alleged, dude. If he came up with that, if he read it exactly how he would play it, dude.
But that's what Bob Clark said. That he said he would put Billy in a mental institution, and then we have him escape on a different holiday, and he would probably do it on Halloween. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, you're right. This that made John Carpenter go, aha! But yeah, I heard that story, and I was just, my mind was just blown. I'm like, John, you sneaky bastard.
Yeah. Good. It was a good call, man. Oh, another thing also, I've got to put this out there for people who don't know. This film was also in a way, inspired by an urban legend known as the babysitter and the man upstairs.
Yep.
That's for anybody who didn't
Yes.
know.
Which I think was like a case that happened in the 50s about a man had murdered a 13-year-old girl and who was babysitting a girl who was like 7, 8, I think.
Yeah, that's the one.
And the whole time he was in the house calling them. So
that's the one.
Oh,
and it's funny too because several movies have used that urban legend, including When a Stranger Calls.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of interesting info there.
So yeah, hey, we already talked about it, and let's talk about one of the biggest positives in the movie, and it is, well, the biggest positive in this movie, and that is our boy Billy.
Oh yeah.
Now, oh shit. But
yeah, I know, right? Goosebumps looking at that image.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what was the genius thing that Bob Clark did? And Paul alluded to it. Not one time do we see the man's face. This image here is the closest we get. Well, that and this. That is the closest we get to seeing Billy's identity, and it's all we need. From the very jump, Billy makes you uncomfortable because a la just like Halloween, the movie starts with a POV shot of someone from across the street walking to the sorority house and breaking in and climbing up to the attic. And from the word go, the movie puts you in an uneasy feeling because the man is just broken into this house of this sorority women who think it's just another night for Christmas, some planning on going out to see their families whatsoever. It's one of those situations where it just creeps you out because what feels like could be just a regular normal day, what we don't know is happening is what's scary. Because imagine that. Imagine someone in your home and you don't even know it. It's terrifying. And Billy is used very sparingly here. A lot of times he's either in silhouette, shadow. Really don't see him, but we know he's there. And from the jump, the man creeps you out. And we've talked about it. Those phone calls, man. Those fucking phone calls. And now, people, now, if there's anyone's watching this, I'm warning you now. If you have any children around, you might want to put some headphones on because it gets very graphic.
Yeah,
but
really.
This is an example of Billy and his complete mindset when he calls these women. It's unsettling.
He's expanded his act. Could that be one person? No, Claire, that's the Mormon Tabernacle Choir doing their annual obscene phone call.
You big cunt.
cunt. Pretty big cunt. Pretty big cunt. I make a pretty big clit. I'm like a tuning fork, baby.
Not bad.
Suck my juicy cock. I'll come over. And you can suck it. Suck it. Okay.
Listen, you pervert. Why don't you go over to Lamb of Kai? They could use a little of this.
Biggie cunt. You want my fat cock too?
Oh, why don't you go find a wall socket and stick your tongue in it? That'll give you a charge.
I'll stick my tongue up your pretty pussy.
You fucking creep.
I'm going to kill you.
Dude, I'd have
Unsettling.
just hidden that. Fucking hell.
Unsettling, and again, you gotta think about this, people. When when if you're younger watching this, okay, you just look like Jada picking on screen too. Bitch, hang up the phone, star 69 his ass. All right, first of all, you gotta understand this, okay? One, this is 1974, okay? You didn't have caller ID. You didn't have. I don't think you had star 69 back then.
No, it was a different world back then.
It was a different world back then, bro. Like when you answered the phone, you did not know who was calling you until you talked. And this was during a time when you actually had to call somebody to threaten somebody instead of going on Facebook or Twitter and all that stuff. But but so you have to think about it. Like 1974, you're getting these weird ass phone calls and you have no idea where it's coming from. That's creepy to think about. Now, of course, on our phones today, of course, that probably would not work, because if we saw a call, if Billy called one of us, we were like, wait, why the fuck is it the same number of the house? Or if it's an unknown phone call, 9 times out of 10, we're not going to pick it up. But back at this time, like Paul said, it was a different world. It was a different time. And in 1974, the language he was saying and the things he was saying back then was fucking shocking. Like, you never really heard anyone talk to women like that.
Yeah, no one ever used the word cunt like that in the film ever. That was like a shocker for anybody.
Exactly. And just right away, Billy, of course you would think, okay, this is probably some dude playing a joke, but the more and more you listen to it, the more and more I'm like, oh, this is pretty graphic. And he does this all throughout the film. Of course, he creeps, he stalks around the house, but his calling card, and basically, honestly, the creepiest moments of the movie, the scariest moments of the movie, are the phone calls. And the more he calls and the more Olivia Hussey answers, the more disturbing, aggressive, non-coherent that it is. You know, he's doing different voices, playing different characters, obvious signs of multiple personality disorder, obviously schizophrenic. He mentions Agnes. You know, he mimics the mother and the father. You clearly see that this man is very, very mentally disturbed and had a very, very fucked up childhood if you kind of just put the pieces together in the phone calls he's doing. And it's one of the more creepiest moments of the film. And another creepy moment, one of the most disturbing moments of the film, is I believe he already killed Miss K.
Yeah.
And who was another highlight of the film. I thought she was fucking hilarious. And this motherfucker just randomly starts freaking out. Now, before I play that clip, one of the more iconic moments of the film is his first victim, Claire.
Yeah. It's
a very, very crucial part.
Yeah, it's a crucial part of the film. And
go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
It's a very crucial moment of the film. But that image, anytime you think anytime somebody mentions Black Christmas, that's the first image people's going to start thinking of, and it was even a movie poster at some point. That's how iconic that moment was in horror history. It's just disturbing as fuck too, because you see that body there more than once sitting at the window, and no fucking notices it, even when they're out there.
Nobody noticed. And how she dies was disturbing because the one thing that's great about this movie, there's hardly any music. It feels like you're right there. And you get the idea that Claire is one of the more innocent ones in the group, and she's about to go home, and she sees something, but we don't see it. It's very disturbing. She sees someone in the closet, but we don't see them in the closet, and she gets closer to it, and then you hear some ooh, and then he suffocates Claire, and Claire is sadly in the attic all throughout the film. And I gotta say, the stuff with her dad trying to look for her, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's absolutely heartbreaking, because I cannot imagine being a father being in that situation where you have no clue where your fucking daughter went.
I mean, for any parent, that is their worst nightmare, not knowing where their kid is and don't know if they're alive or dead. And most of the times they find out that they're dead. You know, it's like one incident that happened in my town where some girl ended up missing and they found her dead. And it is fucking heartbreaking to see that transcend on a film as well, because anybody can relate to that, especially if they got kids.
Agreed. And so he kills Claire, and a la Michael Myers, because Michael's known for this, he posed the bodies. He puts Claire in the rocking chair. We see him pose Margot Kidder and Phil's character. Again, more similarities right there, because we know how Michael liked to pose bodies. And it even gets some creepy ass moments where he's rocking the chair, he's talking to it, singing to it. Lord knows what other things he was doing to it that we did not see. Right. And so he kills the what are your thoughts on the kill on the Billy character as a whole?
Oh man, Billy, he just comes across as someone who has had some really fucked up shit happen to him, and everything that he's gone through has just basically made him so mentally fucked. It's at the point now where he's like, this guy is a danger to be out anywhere, because he's at this point now with his mind frame where he is, I guess you could say, he's reenacting the trauma that you hear that he's gone through in those phone calls. But at the same time, he's also killing people at the same time, because I'm guessing every victim he sees, I guess, is the person who, maybe this is me doing a long shot here, but maybe he's seeing the person that tortured him, and he's, I guess he's killing that person who that's been torturing him. He's killing them over and over again. But that's speculation. Yeah, Agnes as well. And a lot of us don't know who the fuck Agnes was. It was like, who the hell is Agnes? Is that the name of his mother? Is that the name of his sister, or what? But when you hear him talking about that shit in the phone calls, what the hell? It's almost, sorry, carry on. It's almost like when you hear him reenacting that stuff on the phone, it's like he's telling his story of what the fuck he's gone through in those phone calls, even if he is killing people. It's kind of giving clues to what he's gone through and what he's like, I guess, what it's left him ending up being. Just someone who's just absolutely mentally fucked because of the shit he's gone through. And that's what makes it scary, because anybody who goes through some kind of fucked up trauma can ultimately make someone end up like that if it takes them over like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we get moments of Billy just getting more and more mad as the movie progresses. Like I said, this moment here where he kills the mother that runs the sorority house, he just randomly goes fucking insane. Like it's crazy. Like here's the clip here. It's definitely one of the more disturbing moments of the film, because we don't know what made him snap like that. Like we, just like Michael Myers, we don't know his motivation. We don't know what's driving him. We just know that this man is clearly a danger, and he plans on hurting these women who are, for the most part, very, very likable. And you kind of feel bummed when you see one of them killed. And I will say the biggest one, what I could say is the most likable, as this is another one of my positives, is Olivia Hussey. Now, for those who don't know who Olivia Hussey is, I mean, how the fuck are you not? She is the lady that everyone remembers as Juliet in the 60s version of Romeo and Juliet. Of course, Black Christmas. She was in It, the 1990s version, and she played Norman Bates' mother in Psycho 4, and I believe she was a character in Boy Meets World as Topanga's aunt.
Yeah, I think she was.
And Paul brought up to my attention. Yeah, Paul brought up to my attention that she does a lot of voiceover work for video games. So she's a classically trained actress, and she absolutely shines in this role. She plays Jess, and she is the final girl of the film. And what I liked about the Jess character, in fact, what I liked about all the characters, is that they're not high school girls, they're college girls. And so there's a little bit more maturity to these girls. These girls carry themselves like young adults. And it's actually kind of refreshing, because they're not dumb blonde bimbos that are looking to fuck every man they could possibly find and party, and then they just die just to add to the body count. No, a lot of these girls and a lot of these characters feel like real people with real problems, and even though it's a subplot of the film, but it tackles an issue that's still very much an issue this very day. Her character Jess, who you get the idea, again, has a good head on her shoulders, smart, strong, but she's in a dilemma, and she is pregnant with her boyfriend Peter's baby, and credit to Bob Clark, makes the ballsy decision to have her want to abort the baby. Now, me personally, not to get political on here, I am against abortion. I think that's an evil fucking thing to do. And I'm not gonna lie, Paul, it kind of almost made me like, well, fuck you. But Olivia Hussey's performance was so good in the film, I actually wound up liking her at the very end, which was very, very tough to do, because I'm sorry, I just think that's some scandalous shit to do. But moving on, especially once you've seen how abortions happen, it's like you're an evil bitch. But anyway, but just a quick rant. Just a quick rant. Well, I'm sorry. I understand in the 70s, condoms wasn't really commercialized like it was now. But here's my thing, okay? If you are in college and you have this great future plan for you, the moment you let a man put his penis in your vagina, there's a 50-50 chance you're going to get pregnant. What the fuck did you expect was going to happen? To let him go in there with no condom, and you're shocked when you're pregnant? I just laugh when I see girls do that. Oh, it wasn't planned. Okay, yeah, it wasn't planned. But anyway, just a little side rant. And now, of course, people are gonna how dare you? Like, well, relax. But
Everybody's got an opinion on it, man. It's all good.
okay, but yeah, how did you feel about that side story about Jess and Peter and the baby situation? Because, like I said, that's a pretty ballsy move to have your final girl, willingly wanting to do that, no matter what her boyfriend says.
Yeah, I mean, that's an issue that's a bit of a hot potato subject that you see to this day, because I mean, there are some reasons, I guess, why people end up doing that ultimately. Now, it's not my place to say if it's a good idea or not, but I'm just saying, but for her character, it's like her relationship with Pete doesn't seem to be working out. This guy is kind of going crazy with the fact that he's cooped up doing that piano gig. That's why he ends up smashing the fucking thing. And he wants to hang out with her, get married. But she wants to have a future doing stuff for herself before she even thinks about settling down. And she's thinking about aborting a kid. So I can understand, I guess, the reasoning behind why she's doing it. I know it's not a popular decision for a lot of people, but to have them doing that on that film, again, at the time that they did it, it was a very ballsy thing, because even though now you hear it on nearly everything, like whether it's a film or a TV show, you hear that topic or that discussion being talked about. But back then, no one did that kind of thing back then for this film. For them to help them do that on this film for everybody to see, which was a rare thing that no one ever did back then, was, I guess you could say, again, ballsy move. And he took a chance, and I guess he kind of got the reactions he's got. You got some people that understand why she's doing it, and you got some other people that's like, nah, man, you can't be doing that. So, yeah, it does get people thinking about that stuff. So even though this is a slasher movie, there is real life cases and topics that this movie will explore, and that was one of them.
But on the flip side, I completely understand Peter's point. I mean, like yeah, he's becoming unhinged, but he clearly likes Jess. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, Olivia Hussey's fucking fine, but yes. I mean, look, I don't blame Peter, man. Look, if Olivia Hussey, okay, relax, but yeah, I don't blame Peter, bro. Like, when she said that, look, I'm aboard this baby. There's nothing you could do. Well, how about I marry you? I don't even want to marry you. And Peter was like,
why would you play games with me?
That's
that's basically how Peter was. He's like, you selfish bitch, and I'm like, okay, Paul.
I'm giving up my college course. I've smashed my fucking piano. I want to marry you and I want to have this kid with you, but you're telling me, no, fuck you, I'm going to do this. It's like, damn, talk about finding out the hard way, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man, it's just it's a fucked up situation. Like, I get Jess's point, but at the same time, I understand why Peter is pissed off, and because he's so stressed out, like he completely bombed his piano audition. He can't focus. He can't, because how can you? Because like the mother of your child is talking about killing your child and is willingly wanting to kill the child. Like, yeah, it's a really, really bold move. But Jess's character, outside of that, very, very likable. One of the, and of course, Olivia Hussey just shines, especially in the phone call, because she's for the most part answering the phone, and just her acting and her reaction, her face expression during Billy's tirades is very realistic. You genuinely buy that she is scared for her life, and she has one of the more intense final battles with Billy, because Billy kills everybody in the house, except for yes, one by one, especially the one I'm going to talk about, who's my next highlight. And we get one of the more like oh shit moments of the film, and that is, we already kind of had an idea, but the moment when she knew that the calls were coming from the house, that's when shit really gets real, and it's definitely one of the more intense moments of the film, and here you go.
Phil, where are you? Please answer me. Hello?
Who is this?
It's Jess.
Miss Bradford, this is Sergeant Nash. Are you the only one in the house?
No. Phil and Barbara upstairs asleep. Why?
All right. Now, I want you to do exactly what I tell you without asking any questions, okay? No questions. Now, just put the phone back on the hook, walk to the front door, and leave the house.
What's wrong?
Please, Miss Bradford, please just do as I tell you.
Yeah. As soon as she got that information that the calls are coming from that exact house, you could see it in her face. She looked like she saw a ghost. All the color in her face fucking went pale. And I bet you right now, the audience, when they heard that bit, I bet they were all just like, oh shit, get the fuck out of there, lady.
And it's funny too because wait, I think I have the second part of the clip here. Play, goddammit.
I'll get Phil and Barbara.
No, don't do that, Jess. Yes. The caller is in the house. The calls are coming from the house. Jess! Jess! Get out! And don't go up there. Don't go upstairs, Jess. Miss Bradford! Miss Bradford! Miss Bradford? Miss Bradford?
Phil! Bob! Oh, please answer me.
You see how pale she got in her face?
Yeah.
Like, that just, you could tell a lump went in her throat when she heard that.
And by the way, I thought that was funny how when John Saxon clearly told him, hey, just stay cool, don't tell her that this goes in the house, he just freaked out like, it's in the house! Like, I just laughed at that.
Yeah, it's like John Saxon said, look, don't fucking tell her. All right, don't worry, I won't tell her. Yo, she's in the house! Get the fuck out of there!
But yeah, man, and that, of course, leads to one of the more intense moments of the film, where you would say, yeah, get the fuck out the house, but Jess, she's a good person at heart, and she doesn't want to leave her friends up there. doesn't want to leave her friends up there. So she grabs a fire poker and Paul, a la Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Yep.
When I remember when Kara grabbed the fire poker to head back upstairs to get her son, she grabbed the fire poker to go get her friends. Like I said, Halloween they studied this movie. And then we get, and in my opinion, one of the more creepy, more intense battle in horror movie history. And even this very day, the shit gives me goosebumps. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It's me, Billy. Agnes, don't you tell what we did, Agnes.
Oh my gosh. And I didn't have I couldn't get the rest of the clip, but she goes to the basement and you could just hear Billy just everything in his power trying to break through the door because she locked the door to get to the basement. And he's just going fucking insane. But then it just stops. He just stopped. And you can just hear him walk away. You hear him going outside. And I'm just like, wait, that's it? Like it was just on a dime. He just stopped. And this movie does a great job in misdirecting you because they're trying to make it seem like all throughout the film that it might be Peter. And there's a moment in the phone call because John Saxon, he put the phone tap on the phone so that way they could trace the call. Real 1970s shit. And there's a moment where because Peter and Jess had a fight, and Peter calls Jess, basically crying and saying he's sorry. And John Saxon believes that he might be the suspect because when you hear him crying on the phone, he does kind of sound like Billy.
That's the crazy thing about it, is that he sounded like him. And if you look at how Peter looks, he, in terms of his hairstyle and physical stature, it in a way kind of matches Billy. It
matches Billy. And you see moments where Peter is still kind of creeping around the house, and of course we see him smashing the piano, like all signs kind of point to like shit, Peter really might be. I mean, it has a good reason.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it makes sense in a way.
It would make sense. And when you first saw this, Paul, did you think he was the killer?
Initially, I was thinking he was, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was the killer, but we all got our answers on that one later on. But no, yeah, I honestly thought that he was the killer because the way he was getting stressed out, the way he trashed that fucking piano, and the fact that he was emotionally torn up because of what Jesse was going to do. It's all the classic telltale signs of he could be the guy to do it because he had more reasons to do the shit that Billy was going to do to her. So yeah, it could have. I at first assumed, I think Billy and Peter's the same guy.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of it, the whole misdirection of it.
Absolutely. And then later on you kind of get, and then of course, when Jess is hiding in the basement, Peter, who's still lurking around, comes back to the house, and Jess unfairly was on high alert. And Peter did not make himself any better when he just broke in, busted out the window, and And then he sees Claire, and he kind of has this like imposing, how Bob Clark shoots him. It's like he's imposing, he's acting kind of suspicious, like you're like you really don't know what to think. And he gets closer and closer, making him more imposing to the camera. And long story short, she kills him. She kills him defending herself.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, once I saw the movie wasn't over after that point, I was like, oh shit. But again, this is how you know, again, this is a 70s film. Because this shit would not happen. In the very end, they pretty much come to the conclusion that Peter was the killer.
Yep.
And they leave Jesse in the house to rest up, which would not happen. Why the fuck would you want? Why you don't leave somebody at the crime scene?
No, you don't. Like, what do you think?
Wait, no. It's not a crime scene. They didn't see the bodies yet.
No, they had no idea where the bodies were.
Yeah, they had no idea where the bodies were. Okay, so never mind. It's not a crime scene. It's not a crime scene. So,
I mean, think about it.
She's resting up. She's
just cut you off a minute. Yeah. Sorry, man. The only crime scene you got was that body they found in the woods.
Which, because they don't say it directly, but you kind of get the idea that Billy has kind of left a trail of bodies leading up to the sorority house, because I believe one of the sorority sisters mentioned that a girl got raped, and then a 13-year-old girl was brutally murdered in the woods. They don't say it, but you kind of put two and two together. You know that Billy he's been out here for a minute, and he just happened to find himself in the sorority house. And then Jesse's sleeping. And then creep up, you go back up to the attic. You still see Claire. You still see Miss Kate. You hear Billy singing. And he goes, "It's me, Billy." And the camera just pans out while we still see Claire in the window. Mm. And this was the genius about this. No music. You just hear the wind, the cold chill from outside. You hear some dogs barking, and you just hear the phone ring. And you see the cop outside, but you just hear the phone ring. And that's the music of the credits. Just the phone ringing. And it leaves you up to imagine, like, what happens now? Does he kill Claire? Does he stay up in the attic? No, not Claire, Jess. It's definitely one of the best endings to a horror movie ever. It's right up there on par with the Halloween ending. Kind of sad and depressing because she killed her boyfriend. Billy might kill her and the baby. Claire, who's still up there, and her poor father, which we're about to touch on here in a second, no clue where her daughter is. Miss K just disappears. All the sorority sisters are dead. It's not just a horror movie. It's a fucking tragedy. And it's a downbeat ending. But it works. And this is one of the, like I said, this last 20 minutes of Black Christmas is just fucking excellent. What are your thoughts on the ending and that whole third act as a whole?
Oh, dude, the third act, when things are starting to get really fucked up and serious, I'm not going to lie to you, you can literally cut the tension with a knife. That's how thick the tension in the air was when you watch that moment in the film. And then when it all just pops off, when he's chasing after her, and he's just going absolutely fucking batshit. You can hear him, like, the insanity of it all. And then you get to the point where Peter comes in, she kills him, and you think, oh man, So maybe it was Pete. And then we get to the part where they put her to bed. She goes to sleep. We go back up into the attic. The bodies are still there. You got her with the bag around her, Claire with the bag around her head. The poor lady's still stuck on a meat hook. And Billy singing. And then the camera just pans out. And all you hear is the wind and the phone call ringing. And I was just like, dude, this you can't end the movie like this. Is this how it's going to go down? And that was it. You just have this like really fucked up, deep sense of dread in the pit of your stomach, to the point where you think to yourself, man, they can't end it like this. But that's how it ended, and that to me, I'm going to be honest with you. I think when it comes to horror movies, I think to me the best endings are usually the ones that either leave shit ambiguous, like Black Christmas did, and other films like The Thing did, or ones that just jump out of nowhere with the final gotcha moment, like Carrie did. Endings like that, endings that leave you with this dark, depressing type ending, or endings that just leave it very ambiguous, to me, I think are the best ending in horror movies. And some of them really have that power to just make you think, oh shit. And I can imagine, can you imagine what it must have been like for people who watched that movie in the cinema for the very first time, and they leave the cinema, and I bet you most of them dread to turn the fucking key to their own front door, worrying if some fucker was in there waiting for them. Same thing can be said with Halloween as well, with its ending. And that was the thing about the ending of that movie. You leave the cinema, or you leave the movie, especially if you're watching at home, and you're going to be checking your locks and checking your attics just to make sure no one's there before you get some sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when you hear you hear some random creak in the floor, and then you're like a deer, when it's hunt season, and I gotta say this too. With this ending and not making a sequel, I think that's what makes the ending so effective. And I think that's why there's a part of me that kind of wishes Halloween never had a franchise. Because just imagine how effective, how strong that the first Halloween could have been, and that was it. No Halloween 2, no Halloween 4, no Halloween 2018, no Halloween Kills, just Halloween 1978, and that was just it. How effective that ending could have been. Hell, I'll even say Halloween 4. Imagine if the franchise has stopped at Halloween 4.
Oh fuck.
It's just an example of how sometimes it's just best to leave things alone. And I understand movie studios can get greedy, and which I understand it's a business, but sometimes it's just best to leave things alone.
Yeah, and not to mention you got fans that want more. There's that too.
That too. That as well. And of course, like I said, as you see in the picture here, Olivia Hussey's acting is just incredible, especially when Billy's phone calls. And me and Paul were just discussing. I think the scariest phone call was the final phone call, where you could clearly hear that that Billy he was already out there, but at this point in the film, he's completely lost his fucking mind. And this very day, like this was the more effective phone call, which I believe this is the clip here.
right, mommy. This is Graham. It's group 140, terminal 55.
Jesus Christ.
Lieutenant Fuller.
Yeah, Nash, what is it?
A phone company's on the other line, sir. They say they got a trace on this one.
Yeah, let's have it.
He says the calls are coming from number 6 Belmont Street.
For Christ's sakes, Nash, you got it wrong. That's where the calls are going into.
That's where they're coming from, too, sir.
And then John Saxon has the best reaction. Oh shit!
Dude, damn, that phone call. It's just made the hairs on my arms stand up again.
I'm telling you, man. Like I said, the phone calls are the single scariest parts of the film, and like I said, whoever did the sound design, whoever did those phone calls, bra fucking vote to you. I don't know who did it, but I did hear that the person that did the phone calls apparently did them like laying upside down on his bed, and he did the phone calls.
It's Bob Clark, uncredited. He did the voices.
That was Bob Clark?
That was Bob Clark, yeah.
Hey, salute to Bob Clark, man, because that's incredible. And like I said, Olivia Hussey's performance is just amazing. And by the way, and I just want to say, can we just admire how fucking beautiful Olivia Hussey is? There has been some very like hot final girls. But Olivia Hussey, she's not just hot. She is beautiful, dog. Like, I was just telling Paul this. Like, Olivia Hussey just is the character where if I saw her in a coffee shop somewhere, I would legit want to take her on a date. Like, she is just fucking gorgeous. And she's remained beautiful as the years went on. Like look at her in Psycho 4. She's fucking sexy as hell in that movie. She's aged gracefully, dog, and Olivia
still looks good.
What's that?
Even at 70, she still looks good.
But she has aged like fine wine, my man, and definitely one of the more beautiful looking women. Now, keep in mind, I never said sexy, I never said hot, I never said bad as fuck. I said beautiful. Like every time I look at Olivia Hussey, I'm like, damn, she's just gorgeous. But yeah. Anything else, Paul? Before I move on.
Just trying to think, dude. I was just saying earlier when we were listening to those phone calls, man. Yeah, hairs on my arms were standing up again, and yeah, Bob Clark did the uncredited roles of the voice, and from what I've been hearing, also, I'm pretty sure that none of those dialogues that he went was scripted. I mean, he had the idea, but that was completely unscripted when he was going off like that on the phone. And I don't think the actress knew what to expect, because when you see her on that phone, because normally when you watch films, they normally say, yeah, this is what's going to happen on the phone call. I'm guessing they told her, you're just gonna hear this phone call, just react to how you would normally react if you heard something like this in real life. And there you go. Complete insanity there. And I think that's one of the things that, with acting, it's one of the things I've learned as well with the acting class I'm doing. Sometimes the unscripted acting can be more effective than scripted. And you saw a pretty good example of that.
I agree. Oh shit! Yeah, this is another uncomfortable moment with the cat. Oh gosh. But yeah. So so Billy, Olivia Hussey, Jess, bra fucking Vo. But of course, I cannot forget this one. Another standout in the film. Hell, part of me kind of wish she was in the movie a little longer, and that is Margot Kidder's Barb character. Now, of course, Margot Kidder, went on to become Lois Lane. She would later be in a fucking the first Amityville horror film. But most remember her as Lois Lane. And Margot Kidder plays Barb, who is basically the drunken mean girl of the sorority, and you can say the comic relief as well. And she's fucking incredible in this film. She kills it.
Oh yeah, she was definitely good in this, and she was definitely not afraid to tell that guy to go fuck himself on the phone.
Well, there's always that one, and this is why I say like these are like real people, because I mean these are females, of course, but we all had that friend, like a Jess. We've all had that friend like a Barb, who's like always fucked up, but and Barb does, even though she kind of does come off as bitchy a lot in the film, but her character has some nuance to it because we kind of learn from the quick little backstory that that she clearly doesn't have a good relationship with her mom, and she kind of has some issues from home that she kind of suppresses with drinking a lot. Then and then when Claire, the lady who gets killed in the first film, dies, goes missing, there's a nice little moment in the scene where she feels bad because she kind of does say something kind of shitty, to Claire, before she went missing, and she legit feels bad for it. And you can say she's drinking excessively to kind of cope with that. But I thought it was like a nice moment there where that there is a good person in there somewhere, but you could tell that she's deeply, deeply troubled. And but she has a lot of great moments in the film. Like, of course, telling Billy to being the one I was bold enough to tell Billy to fuck off. The scene when that she's fucking with the cop, saying that what's the extension number? I think she said I know she said fellatio. What was the other numbers? Fellatio 202 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and the fact this grown ass man did not understand what fellatio was. That's another positive one to get into. I thought the comedy was fucking great in this film because there are some moments where it's actually legit funny, and definitely one of the more funnier moments is the Christmas party when fucking Barb is giving a child a drink. Like there's some there's some legit funny moments in the film where it breaks the tension and it works effectively, unlike Halloween 2018. And then I think she gets arguably the best death in the movie, when she's passed out drunk and Billy creeps into her room and grabs the unicorn glass statue, and that's where we finally get to hear, Agnes, it's me, Billy, and that's where we get the iconic shot of him over her, about to kill her, and I can just imagine waking up and seeing that face, and
I'll be dead.
and then he kills Barb in her sleep. And it's done classy. It is in a classy way. Like there's hardly any blood, and it's all done with Christmas carolers. Which, by the way, what's the last time you seen fucking Christmas carolers? God damn, man, that's been a big thing. That was a big thing in the 70s and 80s. But since then, they slowly died down. No one wants to go out and sing Christmas carols anymore. It's kind of like when you no longer see kids trick or treating. It's kind of a tradition that's just slowly died off.
Yeah, it's crazy because when you think about traditions like that, especially with Halloween over here, I mean, you get the occasional trick-or-treater, but Halloween in the UK is not a big deal like it is in the States where you get fucking parades all week long like it. I mean, we do have Halloween here, but it's not massive like you guys got it over there.
Oh no, it's a damn shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Margot Kidder was definitely a standout in the film. When when she's being a smart ass, talking about watching watching the turtles fuck for 3 days straight, but she went to the zoo and saw the zebras do it, to premature ejaculation. I thought that was a great moment. And then the moment when she kind of just lashes out at the people, thinking they blame her for Claire's missing. I thought it was a really nice moment. Like Margot Kidder was fantastic in this film, and she might be the best death of the movie. And this is definitely one of her more landmark performances, along with Lois Lane and Amityville. I thought Barb was a great character, and I thought Margot Kidder did fantastic. What was your thoughts on Margot Kidder's performance?
Margot Kidder performing as Barb in this, she definitely nailed the performance very well. She's the kind of person that everybody has as a friend. Like, she can be, even she had her issues with her parents and everything, yeah, but she definitely knew how to have a good time with the character, and definitely the kind of person who would probably stick up for you if somebody was having a go at you, like you just told with that phone call. But she had a little bit of that bitchy side as well when it comes to Claire. But you could tell she felt bad about her going missing too, whether she realized she was alive or dead or not. But she didn't know. But yeah, she had a very good performance in this movie, and hands down probably had the more nastier death on there. I mean, even though you didn't see a lot of blood, her demise was pretty damn shocking and brutal. And just think about this, for a film like that back in the 70s, even though you didn't see a lot of blood, something like that on screen would be shocking. Now it's just like no big deal. But yeah, she had the more memorable death in the entire movie. But she also definitely was the had a really good, cool performance on here. And like you said earlier, she was also Lois Lane in Superman. Just, she was just a well-rounded, good actress, very good actress. And it's a shame that she's passed away 4 years ago. So rest in peace to Margot Kidder. But she definitely did leave her mark in this film and other films as well that she's been involved in. But this was probably one of her standout performances.
Absolutely. And of course, Margaret Kidder, apparently she had her moment where apparently she was just like playing fucking crazy at one point. But but hey, we all have our issues, and it looked like in her final day that she like recovered from that, and you could tell that she was a good spirited woman, and yeah, it's a damn shame to show she passed away 4 years ago, but she's definitely made her mark, and not in just superhero movies, but in horror movies as well. And so, definitely rest in peace to Margot Kidder. And then just really quickly, another highlight of the film, in my opinion. I thought I enjoyed Miss K, and
she was great.
She was hilarious in the film. And you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Another highlight I thought was the comedy. Now, a lot of people kind of bitched at me in my Halloween 2018 review when they were like, "Oh, what, James? Like, you don't like comedy in horror films?" Like, look, I don't mind. I don't mind comedy in horror films. I mean, hell, Halloween, my favorite Halloween film, 1978, that had some comedy in it. Lonnie, get your ass away from there. Like, it just has. Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? When you say about horror comedies, it's okay to have comedy moments in a horror film as long as you don't go fucking overkill with it. Because there has been films that have been billed as a serious horror, but when you have too much comedy in it, it kind of dilutes what you're going to expect in the horror film. So unless it's a horror comedy, then okay, you can get away with a lot of comedy in there. Like good examples of horror comedy would be something like Return of the Living Dead or Zombieland, or films of
American Werewolf in London.
Yep, American Werewolf in London. You can put that in there. I think one of the Howling movies went a little overkill with the comedy. I forgot which one. I think it might have been the second or third one, but they have their cult classic. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, it had its comedy moments, and I think that was a necessary component for Black Christmas because it helps break the tension So, so you can have a little bit of a breather from all the intense moments before it fucking sucks you back into it again. So you got to have that balance of comedy to break the tension and tension to really suck you back in it. If it's done properly, you get a good example of that with this film. But you got other films that kind of go a little overkill with it. But this one, it wasn't overkill. It was a decent amount that balanced it out perfectly.
It did, and it did, and when the jokes hit, it's actually pretty fucking funny. Like again, when Margaret Kerr gives the deputy, the fellatio extension, and then John Saxon and his partner are just laughing their ass off at Debbie not understanding what that means, and he's like, "Oh, I get it. It's something dirty, isn't it?" And they're just laughing their ass off. Or the scene when Miss K, has different places where she hides booze to get a swig of whiskey in the toilet, or when she's trying to hide the naked photo from the father. Like it actually stuck, and it was actually good. Now we have Halloween 2018 when you have fucking Michael Myers in the scene trying to kill someone, and you have a little boy just going, "Oh shit!" It doesn't hit. Or of course, I got peanut butter on my penis. It's like, what? It's gotta. There's. Oh, you don't remember that?
No, I remember that bit. That's my reaction when I heard that was like, what? When I first saw it.
Yeah, it's like okay, this is the part of the movie. When I saw that part, I was like, yeah, this is the part of the movie where Danny McBride's writing this movie.
Especially when you had that kid, when they see that escape truck, it's like, Dad, I don't want to do hunter. I'm late for my dance class. I'm like, no, dude.
Like, yeah, the dance class and again, and I did not hate the black kid. I'm just saying, my thing is, once the monster is on screen, when the movie monster is on screen, it should not be a laughing matter. Exactly. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Okay, because I'll never.
Oh shit! It's like, no,
I'll never forget, Paul, when I saw it in the movie theater, when he went, "Oh shit," the audience didn't know whether to laugh or not.
Well, I can tell you right now, when I went to see it, there were about 3 or 4 people in the cinema screen that I was in that did get a laugh out of that bit. So that did happen on my screening.
Well, me, I was kind of like, no. I mean, yes, it's a realistic reaction, but I'm kind of like, when Michael's on screen, it should be a serious matter. But that's just me.
Yeah, it's like if you see when you see him, it should be something like, "Oh shit, I gotta get out," not like, "Oh shit," and then leg it. Gotta put a bit of fear into that. Like, oh shit, you say it.
And notice how whenever Billy was on screen, it was not a laughing matter. It was serious.
No, it never was a laughing matter with Billy. When you saw him, it was like, "Oh shit, someone's about to get fucked up bad."
And yeah, I thought Miss K was a standout. I enjoyed. Or how about the scene with the surge party? Those 2 random guys at the surge party that showed up at the sorority house and shit with the shotguns. I thought that was a funny moment.
That was
pretty good. And then I thought Claire's father, I legit felt bad for him. Yeah, he may be a little strict, but you could tell he really cares for his daughter and he wants the best for his daughter. And the fact that the movie ends with him not knowing what happened and may not never know what happened is just fucking sad and heartbreaking, man. And
probably the most heartbreaking thing in the entire movie. You feel bad for that guy all the way through.
Absolutely. But Paul, what was your favorite kill?
Oh man. I actually have 2 favorite kills, believe it or not. Unfortunately, one of them had to be Miss K when she got caught with the meat hook in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a nice little surprise shocker. And Barb's kill was another standout kill for me. They were the top 2 for me, in my opinion.
Agreed. I absolutely agree. Well, and yeah, I think that's it. Unless Paul, is there anything else you want to add?
Trying to think. I'm just probably go on a limb and say that, again, like I said at the beginning of this, if Texas Chainsaw and this movie didn't exist, we wouldn't be having the horror movies we be having today for the last 40 odd years, and we certainly wouldn't be here talking about these films today if they didn't exist. That's a honest fact. This movie is, to this day, it still holds the power of the shock. It still has that moments where it makes you laugh, and moments where you just have this sense of dread, and you moments where you're gonna have a lump in your throat, especially with some of the standout scenes like with Claire and with the ending, just leaving everything ambiguous. And that image with the girl with the bag over her, poor Claire, that's like the iconic poster image now. I mean, you look at the original poster, that was it. Just all around, this movie has left a legacy, just like Texas Chainsaw. And it's just a shame that this movie doesn't get the same. I guess you could say it didn't get the same successful dues that a lot of films that came after it did. It didn't get a monster franchise like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or any of that. But it was definitely a pioneer of everything that we see today. A lot of the movies we enjoy watching, you can trace it back to this and pretty much owe it to this film. And yes, of course, this movie did have two more movies that came out. Yes, it had a remake in 2006, which was, I guess you could say, somewhat enjoyable, but it didn't quite have that same. It didn't have that same punch that this original movie did. And as for the 2019 remake that they did, the less I say about it, the better, because it has nothing in common with it. So I would just say, folks, just avoid that movie. But if you want to watch it out of curiosity, you probably find it on Netflix. But nothing will, in terms of those other two movies, nothing will top the original Black Christmas because, again, it's been so influential. And it's only now that people finally acknowledge it as one of the best horror movies ever made. And of course, Billy, a lot of people don't talk about him, but he is the main, I guess you could say, the main blueprint of what you find in a slasher movie character. And the fact that you never see his face, all you get is what you see on that image, his eye. The closest you get to seeing a little bit of him is when he's ready to stab Barb. That's all you're going to get. So he's probably one of the more iconic, but not talked about much slasher character out there. But he definitely, in my mind, definitely deserves his place with all the other iconic ones that we've all seen over the years. It's just a shame that a lot of people either don't know about this film very much and they have to do some serious digging to find it, or they just kind of look at it and just think, it's it's not my kind of film. I prefer these ones. And I guess maybe it's because maybe it's because they want to see more gruesome kills, or maybe they want to see what the guy looks like. For whatever reasons why they don't like Black Christmas, that's them. But for guys who have watched it and know the history for it and just all around enjoy it, there's folks out there that enjoy this. You and me being those two, and others out there that have no doubt have seen this. So this film definitely, again, it has its cult following, and it definitely has its place in history as the blueprint of what we expect today. And a lot of these films that came after it, you trace it back to this movie. So yeah, Black Christmas is the catalyst of what we see today for the last 50 years. And no doubt we're going to see more slasher movies in the future that probably in some shape or form has had some inspiration from this. I mean, how many people can say they haven't seen Black Christmas? If you're a horror movie fan, most of them that make horror movies have probably heard of this movie and have taken at least some kind of inspiration from it. John Carpenter, famous example, and I'm sure there's others out there too. So this movie still remains as a cult classic that people can still watch if they trace it and track it down. It's definitely an essential watch. So for anyone here who's never seen it, I would say definitely watch it, and then you'll understand why we say the things we've said about this.
Well, for me, I think, and you hit the nail on the head, Paul. I think why Billy is not in that echelon, in that lunch table with the big three. I think it's because, like I said, it's hard to market a faceless killer. You know, Michael Myers is in pop culture, Jason's in pop culture, Freddy's in pop culture, and they've had a franchise, had a machine behind them, which unfortunately, how even Leatherface had a machine behind it somewhat. But Black Christmas never had that. You know, you had the two remakes. The one remake in 2006, which I thought was shit, and then you got the 2019 film, which I think is bullshit. How you use that name to create some bullshit agenda. Like you say, like if it had a Black Christmas 2 or Black Christmas 3, I think then maybe. But I think that's what makes this film even more great, is because it's a standalone film. Like it's a standalone film that's staying on its own merits, and the fact that Bob Clark never came up with a sequel, I think is brilliant. You know, and like I said, I just wonder what would have happened if the studios never pressured John Carpenter to make Halloween 2. You know, if the studios never, pressured, Wes Craven to make another Scream. You know, like it would be interesting to see how movies would be if there was no franchises. But definitely, like I said, Billy is, like what we've been saying, the blueprint. You know, how Billy was shot. Like one of the great moments is when Olivia Hussey and Phil are talking to John Saxon about Peter, and you just see Billy's shadow in the background, watching them, which again is very Michael Myers like. So like it's incredible to me how influential the Billy Lynn's character became. Black Christmas 2006. I appreciate the fact that I tried to be different. I appreciate the fact that I tried to something new. How it was executed, in my opinion, I thought was horse shit. Where you give Billy too much backstory, and you make Agnes a character. Turns out motherfucking Kane is playing Agnes. It's stupid. It's stupid. Like I legit thought that was Kane, bro. And then,
it did look alike. I'll give him that.
I was like, man, they got Kane in a fucking wig. I'm out. But and then I think that not enough people do talk about this. Like this, you only see this movie on TV, on cable. But luckily this movie is free on YouTube. It's a fast watch. It's only like 95, 96 minutes. It's not long at all. It's a very quick pace. Like I said, Billy Lynn's character, Olivia Hussey's amazingly beautiful self is incredible. I thought the cast is great. And the movie is legit funny at times, which really helped out. I thought John Saxon was really good as usual. As the cop investigating this, just a really, really solid horror film. And the old cliche, they don't make movies like this anymore. Like where everything now just feels so fake and polished and clean. Like this movie just feels. I think that's why the older movies, horror films, stand out to me the more, because it feels more organic, it feels more real, it feels more authentic, and nowadays everything it feels just too clean and polished. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go on a tangent about that, but yes, definitely. Go ahead.
I was saying, we can talk about polished movies for another time, you know. But yeah, I see what you're getting at when it comes to that, because I think also back then, the reason why the older horror movies stand out today is because back then it was the first time people ever done those kind of films back then. So that's why they felt more organic, because they were new for its time, and they were the originals that still somehow holds, even 50 years on.
Quick question. If you had to choose to ask for their number, Laurie Strode or Jess, who are you taking?
After watching this today, I'm probably gonna go with Jess right now.
Okay.
She just looks like a nice girl, man. Definitely someone you would ask on a date.
I might have to go. Yeah, I might agree with you on there. I mean, just what I used to say about Alexa Bliss back in the day. Look at her, bro. She's fucking beautiful.
I remember the Alexa Bliss posts, man. I remember those.
Yes. Just look at her, bro. And then really look at her and Psycho 4 and all that stuff. But anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, that is our Black Christmas review / discussion. Hope everybody has enjoyed us talking about this horror film Christmas classic. Whatever you want to leave your thoughts and comments, leave it in the comment section. And in fact, Paul, next week, being that it is going to be Christmas, before we do the thing that we plan on doing, would you be down for a Black Christmas watch along?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. All right, so you heard it here. Next week, Christmas, us, me, and Paul, we will do a Black Christmas watch along. Like I said, it's free on YouTube, so it won't have to cost any money. So yeah, for sure. I think that'd be fun. Oh, and also an announcement, breaking news. After Christmas, me and Paul, we will get started with the Scream series into leading up to the new Scream film, which is coming out in January 14th, I want to say.
That's right. I'm going to be getting my ticket for that.
Yeah, January 14th. So after Christmas, and of course, Paul, I will get with you because I may have some, shows on the weekend, so I'll definitely keep you updated. But yeah, so that's gonna be the plan, y'all. Next week we will do a Black Christmas watch along, and then we will get started with a Scream series where we will do Scream 1, then we'll do Scream 2, and it will lead up to the final film. Well, hopefully a final film. I'm really kind of curious. I'm really kind of curious about this, Paul, because all this I'm thinking about how the fuck are they gonna do Scream in 2021? Like nobody really uses no one uses landline phones like that no more, and even with Scream 4, that I was kind of curious how the fuck they're gonna make this work. But I'm curious. I'm curious to see how they play with technology.
I'm very interested to see how they're going to do this, because from what I understand is that it is going to be back in Woodsboro. It is 25 years after the events of the original film. It is a direct sequel. And think about this also. This is the first time we're seeing a Scream movie without Wes Craven directing it.
Wait, Paul, isn't every Scream film a direct sequel?
Yeah, they were. Because, I mean, the fourth movie took place 10 years after the events of Scream 3, because there was a 10-year gap between them. And this one was a fifth one too. But the thing about it, the reason why it took so long for this to happen was because it's now gone to a different studio. So now Spyglass and Paramount Studios own it. It used to be with Dimension Films, which was owned Harvey Weinstein. We all know what happened to that piece of shit. And this is also the first movie without Wes Craven because he passed away a couple years ago. But I remember distinctly when they were doing Scream 4, I heard originally the plan was they were going to make a new trilogy starting with Scream 4, but I think some shit went down. There was like a creative difference issues between Kevin Williamson and Craven, and that's when they decided to do that TV series, which I've only seen the 2 seasons of. I haven't seen season 3 yet, but I heard season 3 wasn't bad. But yeah, Scream 5, it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do, because if you watch the trailer, one of the clues they gave out was they're saying that all the people that this guy is killing are relatives of the original killers. So whoever this fucker is that's killing them knows a lot about what went down 25 years ago. And there's been a lot of speculations. Some of them are saying, and can you imagine this, if this was the unthinkable? Imagine this. What if it's Sidney Prescott that's doing the killing? Think about it.
Paul, you son of a bitch. Bro, I literally thought about this, Paul, because, like, bro, I said, you know what? They should just go fuck it, do something we won't expect, and have Sidney be a killer for once. I think that would be a great move. It would make sense. And I'd be all for it. If they made Sidney the killer, man, I will be all for it.
Hey, there's only one way to find out. We're going to find out in a few weeks, and then we'll come here and let you all know what we think of it. But my anticipation level is high. I'm a Scream fan. You know, I got Ghostface tattooed on my shoulder, so
yes, I do.
I am certainly anticipating good things from this. And with the people that they got directing it, the guys who did that Ready or Not film, if you guys have not seen that, you got to see it, because it will give you an idea what kind of Scream movie we're going to be expecting with these guys at the helm.
And also, I just want to say this too. Even though I got it in Halloween Kills, I'm one of those people, Paul, that if I was in that creative room thinking of the story for Halloween Ends, I say let Michael win.
Dude, we're gonna fight next October.
Have him kill Laurie. Have him kill Laurie. Have him kill Allison. He'll just walk into the night. I think because one, that was something that we've never seen before, and yes, it opens. No, it doesn't have to. But I just think that'd be great. Like, if you build him up to be this unstoppable being, just have him kill them all. Fuck it.
Yeah. and like I said to you on the Halloween Kills review, if this new one is the last one they ever do, I ain't gonna be mad about it, as long as they end this on a perfect note.
Yeah, because they have to hit on all cylinders, because there's no coming back from this.
Yeah, because I mean, where else are they gonna go with this now? Where else can you go? There isn't anywhere else to go. This is it. This is all or nothing come October, man. All or nothing.
Well, man, filming starts next month, so hopefully they got their shit together.
I'll be waiting for that trailer.
And oh god, and I hate to ask this. I just watched this movie for the first time in a long time, and I forgot. Do you know Olivia Hussey has a Twitter or Instagram, bro?
I didn't know that.
Well, I asked, do you know if she does?
I'm pretty sure she does. I don't know. I don't look into stuff like that when it comes to that, but I'm pretty sure she might.
Okay, yeah, just send me a link whenever you can. I'm gonna try to slide in the DMs anyway. But yeah, we are out, and hopefully you enjoyed this review. Like I said, hit that like, subscribe button, and like I said, give this a watch for sure. Or if not, be awesome and wait till next week so we can do a watch along. And yeah, so. Everybody, safe travels. Don't kill each other, because I know some people are doing some last minute Christmas shopping. I did it. I did it today. I almost, me and this old lady almost went at it, man. But yeah, we are out. Peace. Have a good weekend.